The court will take judicial notice of the contents of its file, and if the court can have announcements.
Ursula Rush and Stephanie Fade for the department ready.
Thank you.
Gary Peak for Jonah Lee Boland ready.
Thank you, sir.
Tiffany Fowler, attorney ad litem for the child, ready.
Rebecca Navarro Casa.
And the court will note that Michaela Baldwin, the mother of the child, is present as
The
well.
department calls Michaela Baldwin and his birthday 2022, making him just under a year old.
Yes, ma'am.
Are you or any member of your family a registered member of an American Indian tribe?
No, ma'am.
Is Asher's father Jonah Boland?
Yes, ma'am.
And is he the gentleman who's in the little frame with Mr. Peak?
Yes, ma'am.
When Asher was born, were you married to anyone legally?
No, ma'am.
When Asher was born, did Mr. Boland and you sign paperwork at the hospital that would have put Mr. Boland on the birth certificate?
Yes, ma'am.
I do understand and found out that earlier this month, Mr. Boland had filed a custody case in this suit. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Other than that, has there ever been any other lawsuit filed regarding Asher? Like
No.
child support?
I mean, I try to file for child support, yes, but we were just talking about it.
So you may have talked to people, but it never got filed by the Attorney General?
I think it was. I don't know for sure or not. I'll have to call him.
Who's him?
Gary Trammell.
Oh, the attorney. Okay,
Yes,
I'm with
ma'am.
you now. Okay. Was there was, I'm sorry. There were no court orders regarding visitation or child support or anything like that when this child was removed from you. Is that fair?
Yes.
Okay. So who's in the car with you?
My boyfriend,
Who's your boyfriend?
Braden
And
Midtown,
how old is Braden? Just age, not birth date.
22.
And how long have you been with Mr. Midtan?
2 weeks.
Do you know where Anthony Sell is?
No, I do not.
When was the last time you had contact with Anthony Sell?
He called me the day he got out, which was 11th, off of the city secretary's phone, Jessica Sutter, I think her last name is. And he told me that he was out and that he didn't get his stuff from the CPS lady. And I told him I couldn't have any contact with him, and I had my mom bring him his stuff. That was the 11th, because Asher was taken that day.
That's the 11th of this month. Is that what we're saying?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And he has not contacted you since then?
No, ma'am.
Are you aware he cut his ankle monitor and is on the run?
No, I have no clue about that.
As far as the father of the child, Mr. Boland, I'm going to call him Jonah if you're okay with that. Are you okay with that?
Yeah.
Do you think the child should go to Mr. Boland today?
No, I do not.
Why not?
I have picture proof that he is on coke, or he has done coke.
Okay, I want to stop. Wait a minute. We're going to break this up. It's a lot easier. Stupid as it may sound, you do mean cocaine when you say Coke, not Pepsi, right?
Yes, ma'am. Cocaine.
Okay, why? I don't, we really can't see the pictures right now. Why do you think you have proof of him doing cocaine?
He did a drug test for me because I heard rumors, and he did a drug
Wait a
test
minute.
for me.
When did he do just let's keep our answers short so nobody gets lost, okay?
Yes,
When
ma'am.
did Mr. Boland do a drug test for you?
I don't have the exact date. Let me go through my camera roll real quick.
Well, let me ask you, was it this month?
No, it was not.
Was it last month?
It was last month. I'm pretty sure. Let me check the date on this. It says May 29th, but I don't think that's correct.
So it was at least May 29th, but you think it might have been June. Is that fair?
Yes, ma'am.
And you said it was cocaine?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you know where he took the drug test?
My mom had an extra one and I had him take one at my house.
So it's one of those instant ones?
No, it's like the 12 panel ones. It's the Identified Diagnostics USA.
Oh, it got shipped off to someone.
No, my mom has to take them and she had an extra one. So I had him have one.
I have to ask you, why does your mom have to take them?
My mom's on a medication that helps her get off meth. It's diagnosed from her doctor.
Okay.
But yes, ma'am, that's it.
Did you tell Jonah that he tested positive for cocaine?
Yes, ma'am.
What was his response?
He said that it should have came out within 4 days is why he didn't tell me.
Okay. Did he say the cocaine should have come out of his system within 4 days? Is that what he said?
After, yes.
So that's why, once again, I'm trying to understand. So that's why he didn't tell you he'd done cocaine, because it was 4 days prior to taking the test. Is that what you're saying?
Correct.
Gotcha. Have you known, just you personally, not rumors you may have heard, have you known Jonah to do drugs in the past?
When we first got together, he was selling them.
Okay, I'm going to back you up. When did you first get together?
February 11th, 2021.
February 11th, 2021. And what was he selling?
Marijuana and cocaine.
How do you know this?
He told
Did he
me
tell
when we
you?
first got together. Yes.
He said, I'm selling weed and coke.
Yes, ma'am.
Did he ever tell you he was selling? I mean, did you ever see him selling?
After on, yes, but not at first, because I told him I didn't want him selling major drugs.
And then you later saw him selling.
It wasn't cocaine after that. It was
Was it weed?
it was marijuana. And I will be honest, I was with him.
So you were kind of like a co-seller,
Yes, ma'am.
for lack of a better word, right?
I mean, I gotta be honest.
No, but I mean, I don't know what else to call it, but you were helping him sell. Do
Yes.
you recall the last time you know for a fact Jonah was selling weed?
No,
Was it before or after Asher was born?
before.
When was the last time you were involved romantically? And frankly, I mean sexually with Jonah.
About a month and a half ago.
So before or after he took the drug test?
After.
So it'd have to be June. Sound fair?
Approximately, yes.
Okay. Has there ever been any domestic violence by Jonah against you?
Yes, ma'am. Multiple occurrences.
Okay, so I know what I mean by domestic violence. I want to make sure we're on the same page. I mean hitting, punching, slapping, pushing, and throwing things. Can we agree with that?
Yes.
There is domestic violence about yelling and screaming, but I don't want to talk about just if you got into arguments. Okay?
Yes, ma'am.
So we can agree.
Yes.
So what kind of domestic violence are we talking about?
He's choked me out when I want to say around May. I want to say around May or June.
Wait a minute, what year?
2021.
May, June 2021. What else?
When we were homeless. Let me think. There's one occurrence at the hospital by Harris. He ripped my jacket off of me because
Wait a minute. What hospital?
Harris Hospital. We were at the hotel by, I think it's a Marriott.
I don't know where Harris Hospital is.
It's in Fort Worth where my son was born.
Okay, was this after Asher was born?
Yes.
Okay, and you were like at the hospital, had he just
No.
been born?
We were going on the way to the hotel we were at, and we were kind of he was kind of irritated at his lawyer because his father passed away when he was younger, and he was trying to get information on the case. And I answered the phone because he didn't have a phone at the prior time. And he got mad at me and told him that I shouldn't have gave him a chance to say no to answering the meeting. And I tried to get out the car, and he ripped my jacket off of me, like by my neck. And I ran inside, and then they called the cops. But then I dropped the case because I loved him.
Okay. Now, was Asher in the hospital because he'd been born?
Yes, his intestines. He was born with his intestines out.
But this wasn't, what I'm saying is this would have occurred the month after Asher was born, not 2 or 3 months later. We're not going to go into the month he was born, but is that
It
correct?
was about 2 months late, 2 months after he was born.
So it's the end of 2022. Is that fair?
Yes.
Okay. Any other domestic violence after the end of 2022?
He hit my uncle in the jaw when I had to be taken out of my grandparents' house, or I didn't have to, but
When was that?
I don't know the exact dates.
What year?
This 2023.
Was it in the winter when it was cold, or was it like in the spring?
It was in the spring, I'm pretty sure. I don't mark my words. I don't really remember what time or what day.
Sometime in 2023.
Yes, ma'am. Correct.
Where was Asher?
Asher was in the house with my grandparents.
Any other times of domestic violence by Jonah against you?
There was a lot before I had Asher. I can't tell you exact what dates because there was quite a bit of times.
Were there any when you were pregnant?
Yes. Yes. We were moving back I was on probation for assault charge, and we were coming from Monaghan's. We were living with his aunt at the time. And I kind of got in a verbal altercation with his aunt, and he wound up putting his hands on me on the way home, on the way to Breckenridge from Monaghan's.
How did he put his hands on you?
He's punched me in the shoulder. He would like throw me around. He's choked me and like pulled on the side of the road. There's been a lot of times they're all thrown together, if you want me to be honest with you, because I'm used to it. I grew up with it with my stepdad.
Okay. You were on probation for what?
Assault and bodily injury.
Against who?
The girl he cheated on me with.
Have you ever committed domestic violence against him?
No.
I do not want you to give me your address like 123 Apple Street, okay? What town are you living in?
What town? Like town?
Yeah, like, you know, there's Breckenridge, there's Eastland. What town are you living in?
I'm living in Fort Worth now.
Why?
I'm in a recovery house in an Oxford house, trying to get on my feet.
Okay, and why are you at Oxford House?
I'm trying to get on my feet. There's more opportunities in Fort Worth.
Okay, if I misunderstand what Oxford House is, please tell me. But I thought Oxford House was like a sober living type place. Is that what it is?
It is.
Do you have a drug problem?
Marijuana, but I've been clean for a month now.
Anything else?
No, ma'am.
Is that where you met Braden?
No, ma'am. No, ma'am.
Okay. Do you understand what the department is asking for today?
Not exactly.
Okay. The department is asking that we be, I'm going to use people language, not lawyer language, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
The department is asking that we get custody and maintain custody of Asher, that you and Jonah do services. You don't lose your rights right now. It's not what it is, and work toward getting him back. You get visits, you take parenting, you take drug testing. I'm going to tell you, there's going to be drug tests. Okay.
Fine with that.
You take drug assessments, but that we keep custody and he stays in foster care until and unless y'all can prove you're ready for him to come home. Does that make sense?
Yes, ma'am. I have one question, if that's possible.
If the court doesn't mind you asking me, I don't mind you.
Please, you may ask.
Is there any way he can go to a family friend, or not a family friend,
Okay.
but a family member?
I have an answer for that. Randy, would you wave? That's Randy Lynn. If the court does let us keep custody, she's going to actually be the caseworker. The investigator is a different division. She has paperwork, and you can fill out paperwork asking that we do home studies. Okay? Whoever you put on the paperwork needs to not have criminal history. I'm not talking parking tickets. You know what I'm talking, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And needs to not have CPS history.
Yes, ma'am. That's
Okay.
fine.
And we're not going to do this on YouTube because once again, we're on YouTube. But if we do maintain custody, I'm going to ask you not to hang up, and we're going to need your email address. So do you have access to an email?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
Okay. So my question is, that's what we're asking for. And we're asking that the child not be placed with you and not be placed with Jonah, that we keep custody and we do home studies. Are you in agreement with that?
Yes, ma'am.
Are there any other reasons you believe Jonah should not? I'm sorry, can I try that again? Okay. It's been a really long day. I'm sorry.
Fine.
Are there any other reasons you believe this court should not order Asher to go home to Jonah today?
Yes, there's one more.
What is it?
I know for sure Jonah's still smoking marijuana. I have done tests for CPS, and I don't feel safe with that. I'm trying to get clean, and I feel like it should go both ways.
Okay, well, that brings up a really good question. While I have you here, does Asher have any special needs? You said he had some intestinal problems when he was born. Has that been taken care of?
Yes, ma'am, that's cleared.
Is there anything else, any allergies, any asthma, anything like that?
We're pretty sure he has asthma, but it's for sure allergies. Sometimes he'll have a little bit of breathing problems, and I'll have to give him some albuterol. And then there's sometimes where it gets bad where I have to like put him in his walker and just let him breathe up the steam in the shower, and sometimes put Vicks on his feet. But he does have pretty bad allergies.
And he's not allergic to like lactose intolerant or anything, or foods.
His stomach does get upset sometimes. It just depends on what.
Okay, pass the witness.
Mr. P. Thank you.
I'm not sure that I got the new boyfriend's name spelled right. Let's start. Will you respell that for me? Okay. How long have y'all known each other?
A year now.
Any idea if he has any CPS history or criminal offenses?
I know of some
Somewhat.
offense that he has.
What was that?
Animal cruelty.
Okay. Has Jonah ever had a paternity test?
No, but I would like to do one.
Okay, the court can, or the
Sorry.
CPS can make that happen. Did you make a complaint, pardon me, against Jonah recently with law enforcement?
Yes.
It turned out that was a invalid complaint, correct?
I'm not sure. I just know it looked like him.
Okay. You claim that he tried to run you off the road, but when law enforcement looked into it, they didn't back that up, correct?
They didn't try to run us off the road. The person in the car looked like he had a gun, and it looked like Jonah. And I freaked out because I do have PTSD from him, I'm pretty sure, and I'm easily to be startled. It could be wrong.
And who was with you when you made that allegation?
My boyfriend.
Same one you're with now.
Yes, sir.
Law enforcement didn't arrest Jonah, correct?
No.
No charges?
Not that I know of.
Okay. Why'd you break up with Mr. Sell?
My son comes first.
If you took a drug test today, a hair follicle test goes back at least 90 days, what would it show?
It should be negative.
Or what?
Marijuana.
Is that all you use, or was there a time you used other things?
There was a time when my son was in the hospital and me, Jonah Boland, did shrooms together.
Did what? What'd you say?
Shrooms.
Shrooms. The department may ask you to take a hair follicle test. Are you willing?
Yes, sir.
Do you have real nails?
Yes, sir.
Are they long enough to cut off?
No.
Okay. Are you required to get a job there at Oxford House?
Yes, sir. I'm actually looking right now as we speak.
Do you recall another claim that didn't pan out against Jonah back in November of 22?
Yes, I do.
Is it fair to say that you've made many claims against Jonah and the police haven't been able to verify those claims?
Most of the times I just never responded. But I have talked to the hotel that was that time, and you said November, right? It's right after my son was born. And the lady there will testify what she saw.
And did Jonah get arrested for your accusations from that November of 22?
He left before the cops came.
So they didn't issue a warrant and go arrest him, go find him?
Because I didn't call the officer back.
Okay. Now you said earlier under oath that he choked you out. Made you unconscious by choking you?
He choked me. I didn't go unconscious, no.
Surely you reported that to law enforcement.
The cops were called and we ran.
They didn't arrest him for that alleged act.
No, because I said he didn't do it because I loved him.
Okay. Was there cops called about him supposedly hitting your uncle in the jaw?
Yes, cops and CPS showed up.
Did he get arrested?
No.
Did the uncle get arrested?
No.
Besides the assault against the other person, do you have any other criminal history?
No, sir.
Did you get permission from your probation to move to Tarrant County?
I've been off probation over a year now.
Oh, okay. I thought you said you were still on.
No, sir.
Do you remember being on probation when you were pregnant?
Yes, I do.
Were you failing drug tests while you were pregnant on probation?
No.
So if we look at the probation records you're saying under oath today, it will not show that you were failing drug tests while you were on probation.
I'm pretty sure I never failed them.
Okay. How many times do you believe that you have called law enforcement making allegations against Jonah?
Past 3 years? There's been quite a bit of times. I can't give you a number.
More than 5?
More than 15.
How many times was he arrested?
Once.
Okay. I pass the witness, Joe.
Thank you. Miss Fowler?
Thank you. Ms. Baldwin, you were served in this lawsuit, correct?
Yes.
And did you read the documents that you were served with,
Yes.
including the affidavit in support of emergency removal? Did you read that?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you contesting any of the allegations that are included in that affidavit?
Rephrase that again.
Sure. Is there anything in that affidavit that is untrue?
When the lady came and picked up Asher, she told me that Rebecca Sell, which is Anthony Sell's grandma, had talked to me about picking me up and then going to pick up Anthony. That I had no clue of, and I know that is untrue.
Okay, so you're referring, but you don't contest that the accident happened and that you admitted to smoking marijuana while you were having Asher, those types of things?
That is true.
Okay, and you admitted that you knew that Anthony Sell was a registered sex offender.
Yes.
Okay. And that he had a history of domestic violence.
Yes.
Was there domestic violence between you and Mr. Sell?
Never, not once.
Okay. Any domestic violence between you and your current boyfriend, Braden?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Do the incident that you were talking about with Mr. Peak, with Jonah allegedly potentially trying to run you and Braden off the road, where did that occur allegedly?
In Breckenridge by the lake, the bridge. Sorry.
Stevens County?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Is your current boyfriend from Stevens County?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Do you have concerns with Asher being placed with Jonah's mother?
I know she used to smoke marijuana also, but that's the only concern.
Do
But
you
I do
know
trust
her?
her.
Sorry, do you know her very well?
Yes, I do trust her with my son.
Okay. Are you aware if she has CPS history?
Maybe, I don't know for sure. I know Jonah was in Abilene, and I don't know if it's foster care or what. I don't remember to be exact, but there's a possibility. I don't know for sure.
Okay. And if she has CPS history, would that cause you concerns about Asher being placed with her?
Honestly, she's really great with my son. I know he's safe over there, and I know he'll be taken care of. My only issue is, can I say that? I
Say
just
what?
don't know.
I'm sorry.
I was going to ask, my only issue is if he did go to his grandma's, if I could see him still. Because his grandma does not like me, but I do trust her, feelings aside.
Okay. Do you have concerns that she would allow Jonah to be around the child outside of what this court said was okay?
Most likely, yes.
Now, earlier you indicated that you had broke up with Mr. Sell because your son comes first. I don't want to put words in your mouth, referring to because CPS removed your son because you had a relationship with Mr. Sell?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So when you were with them, you didn't necessarily see a problem, but now you do. Is that fair?
I tried to cut him off. Can I look up the date that I called him last? Or that he called me last?
I think you said it was July 11th. Are you questioning?
Well, that's the date. Sorry. When he was locked up the last time he talked to me, when he was in jail.
Okay.
This is prior to him getting out. That was the last time I talked to him, was when he got out that day. I want to say it's, I cannot find it now.
That's okay. When you were in a relationship with Mr. Sell, were y'all residing together or apart?
He was at my house for about a week.
And was that your house in Breckenridge?
Yes.
Okay.
And it was the 10th, the last time he talked to me.
July 10th?
Or the time before he talked to me. So let me see, actually. July 10th. he called me. I got a missed call from him, and then July 7th at 2:44, he called me for 9 minutes, and I cut him off. 9 minutes and 52 seconds to be exact. Don't know if that matters, but I did tell him I couldn't be with him because of all of this. And I told him I
Okay.
gave him all of his stuff from CPS gave him his stuff, is what I told him.
All right. And so that was July 10th, and then he tried to call you July 11th as well, but you,
July 10th, he tried to call me. Sorry, I'm going back. July 10th, I have a missed call at 2:39. July 7th at 2:44, he called.
uh-oh. I think she accidentally left while she was trying to look at her phone, which was,
I will have the record reflect that we lost Miss Baldwin at 3:45, and let's give her a moment to see if she is going to be able to rejoin us.
I'm pretty much done with her at this point. I can pass the witness if nobody else had follow-up to move this along.
I'm not going to have any follow-up.
Okay.
Miss Rush, do you have any follow-up for Miss Baldwin?
If she comes back, I had a question, but if she doesn't, it's no big deal.
And just for purposes of the record, I do not see the representative from the child placing agency. I think that is one that we have lost through this questioning. I'm going to go ahead and let you proceed with your next witness. Miss Rush will return to the mother if she returns.
Yes, ma'am. Department calls Jonah.
While we're waiting to see if Miss Baldwin's going to be able to join us, I would remind anybody that is watching this proceeding on YouTube, the recording, downloading, or posting any portion of this court hearing is strictly prohibited. And if the court is notified of any such download or posting, the appropriate Texas authorities will be notified, and you can be held in contempt of court and other fines and activities could occur against you. Okay, at this time, it does not appear that Miss Baldwin can hear us at this time. Miss Baldwin, can you hear me? Okay. At this point in time, you may go ahead and proceed with your questioning of Mr. Boland, please.
Ms. Baldwin testified that you signed an acknowledgement of paternity at the hospital and were placed on the birth certificate for Asher.
Yes, that's correct.
We lost her again, Your Honor?
Yes,
Okay.
the
But-
time is 3:51.
Listening to your attorney's questioning, it seems like you want to rescind that and have a DNA test. Is that correct?
Yes, I would like a DNA test
Why do you want a DNA test?
because well, throughout her whole pregnancy, she told me that. Well, one time I brought it up as a joke.
Sir, I'm going to ask you to wait 1 second, just 1 second, okay? I am having very much trouble hearing you. Okay, can you try again?
Just one moment. Miss Baldwin, I see that you're back with us at 3:52. Can you hear us now?
Okay.
Okay, you're on mute. Just shake your head if you can hear us.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. What has happened is that the questioning while we were waiting, Ms. Rush has called Mr. Boland. So we'll proceed with that, and there may be a follow-up question for you, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for rejoining us. Ms.
Mr.
Rush,
Boland- Mr. Boland, I put on headphones so I can hear you a little better.
Okay.
So, why do you want a DNA test?
Because she has been unfaithful to me our whole relationship.
Why'd you sign the AOP?
Because I do believe that he is my son, and I mean, he looks just like me, so I believe that he's my son. I just want a DNA test
Okay.
so that like 5-10 years that I don't, you know what I mean, emotionally attach myself to him, and then, you know, the real dad comes along, and then there's nothing I can do about it, you know?
Okay. So even though you're telling this court you want a DNA test, are you also telling this court you want Asher to come home to you, even though you may not be the father?
Yes.
Okay. So when was the last time you used cocaine?
4 or 5 months ago.
Okay. That would be give or take March, April. Does that sound right?
Yes.
What kind of cocaine? Is it powder or crack?
Powder.
And when you used cocaine, how much cocaine did you use? Or how often is the better
I
question?
just tried a little bit. I was drinking at the lake, and I tried a little bit.
So you're saying you only used cocaine one time?
Yes.
You're currently under the age of 21, aren't you?
Yes, ma'am.
So drinking is also illegal, isn't it?
Yes.
So other than cocaine, when was the last time you used marijuana
Last time I smoked marijuana,
in any form?
probably about 2 weeks ago.
And do you vape it? Do you smoke it? Do you eat it? What do you do?
I smoked.
Okay. Other than cocaine in March or April and marijuana 2 weeks ago, what other drugs, including alcohol, have you used in the last 3 months?
Not, that's it.
Okay. You haven't had a drink in the last 3 months?
No.
Are you aware that hair follicles go back 90 days?
Yes, ma'am.
So you believe that it will come back positive only for marijuana?
Yes.
When was the last time you had possession of Asher?
The 10th.
Of July?
The 10th. Yeah, this month. Yes.
I do that because months sneak up on us and I want to make sure we're fine. And did you have him at your home?
Yes.
And your home is in Eastland County, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you have access to an email account?
Yes, I do.
Okay. I do not want you to give it to me over YouTube. However, if we are continued as a conservator of the child, would you give your email to Mr. Peak so I can put it in the service contacts?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Do you live with your mother in Eastland County?
Yes, currently right now I do.
Who else lives with you and your mother in Eastland County?
My grandmother. That's it. And my dog.
Is that your mama's mama?
Yes.
You don't have any other siblings living with you?
No.
And is your mother currently married and her husband living with you?
No, she's divorced.
Okay. So why do you think, well, let's back up. Why did you file a petition to get custody of Asher about the same time we filed this petition when you're not even sure he's your son?
Well, I've hired Gary D. Peak in January. I retained him in January, and I've really been waiting for the process, but I don't know the exact date, but she wrecked her car. She totaled her car at 3 o'clock in the morning. And my kid, he was in his like his car seat, but he wasn't buckled into the car like by a seatbelt.
Sure.
And I mean, we've been waiting for the court process to go through, and I went and told Gary that, and so they filed.
Okay, wait a minute. This is really important. Mr. Peak will tell you. Don't tell me what you told Mr. Peak, okay?
Okay. All right. Well,
okay. But he wasn't buckled in.
Yes. And
Do you recall when that was?
The exact date.
That's
I know it was last month, probably around the 20th of last month.
June. Is that fair?
Yes. Yeah, June 14th. That's the exact date.
Okay.
And that's
how did you find out?
I found out from one of her. So she left 2 girls at the scene, the wreck, and she left. And one of those two girls, they got taken to the hospital, and one of those girls got a hold of me.
So the short version is you heard it from a friend of hers. Is that fair?
I heard it from one of the victims in the wreck. Yes.
I mean, was it a friend of hers? That's all I'm asking.
Yeah.
Okay. And you do realize in the original petition and suit affecting parent-child relationship filed on or about December 16th, 2022, and cause number CV3, swear that you are the father of the child.
Yes.
So even though in that petition you said you're the father, you're still wanting a DNA test?
Yes. Like I said, because the
Okay,
reason
no,
why-
that's good enough. So how often have you been able to see Asher when there was no custody paperwork?
I've seen him 3 times.
Okay, can you, other than obviously in the hospital?
I've had him 3 times, but I have also went and ate lunch with him and his mother a couple times.
Okay, so when did you like have him for weekends?
I had him for 1 weekend, yes, and then
Okay, what was the weekend you had him, July 10th?
yes.
So did you have him like from Friday to Sunday?
No, I just had him for 1 day.
Okay, and then do you remember the months that you had the other visits?
Easter
Okay,
and the 10th
I'm sorry.
and the 10th of this month.
Okay, so yeah, I've got Easter and July 10th, but you said you've had 3 times. That's only 2.
I can't recall. And it's probably only those 2 times that I've had him personally, but I've went and I've seen him and
Okay,
other.
okay. So who is Michaela Willis?
Michaela Willis is a woman that I was talking to, or yeah, I guess you could say talking to.
She was the woman you were sleeping with, right?
Yeah, I guess you.
Okay,
I know.
And would you-
Brutal. Yes, I mean, I didn't know if I could say it like that, but yeah, that's all that was we were sleeping together.
and how long were you sleeping with Michaela Willis?
About like 3 weeks.
And would that have been in June or July or May?
That was just last month.
That's June 2023.
Yes, ma'am.
When did you stop sleeping with Michaela Willis?
Like the 25th of last month of June.
Okay. And were you aware Michaela Willis has a CPS case in another county in which her children were removed?
Yes, I was aware.
How did you meet Michaela Willis?
Through Michaela Baldwin.
I'm sorry?
Through Michaela Baldwin.
I know, through the mother in this case.
Yes.
Got it. And you're currently in a relationship with Amber White. Is that correct?
No.
Would you be
I'm sleeping with her.
Yeah, would you be surprised if yours and her Facebook pages both have plenty of pictures and say that you two are in a relationship with each other?
I would be surprised if mine had anything, yes, because mine doesn't have anything.
Really? When's the last time you looked at your Facebook profile?
Today, this morning, earlier.
When? Okay, but earlier means anytime, not now. So when?
Like 2:50 before court started.
Okay. And does anyone have access to your Facebook page besides you?
Y'all should, yeah. Everybody should.
No. Who can make changes to your Facebook page?
Obviously me, unless somebody gets a hold of my phone.
And would you be surprised as I'm looking at it shows you living in Eastland from Odessa, Texas, in a relationship with Amber Rose?
I didn't post that, but that's just the Facebook status.
Okay. So when did you start sleeping with Amber White?
Around the same time that Anthony and Michaela started sleeping together.
I don't know when that is. So could you tell me?
Beginning of this month, end of last month.
Sometime after Michaela Willis and before today. Is that fair?
Yeah.
And are you aware that Amber White's baby daddy is Mr. Sell?
Yes, I am aware.
And are you aware that Amber White also has a CPS case?
Yes. Now, I wasn't aware of that until the 12th, but I'm aware of that now.
How did you find out about it on the 12th?
Through my caseworker, Stephanie.
You mean through the investigator?
All right. Yes, the investigator.
The person who's on the here is Stephanie Fade?
Yes.
Okay. So when was the last time you saw Amber?
I saw her at court because we had court. She had court that day, so the 12th.
Okay. That last time you saw her?
Yes, ma'am.
When was the last time you had any contact with her?
I talked to her this morning.
And what did you tell Amber this morning when you spoke to her?
Good morning.
And what else?
That's it.
So you called Amber White solely for the purpose of saying good morning and then you hung up.
I didn't call her. I texted her.
Okay. So, other than this morning when you said good morning, when was the last, what else have you been texting Amber White about?
Well, I went and I saw Asher earlier, and then whenever I got out to visit, I told her that I just got done seeing Asher and I'm heading home and I'm heading to court. So that's the last time that I've actually spoke with her, like texted her.
What do you do for a living?
I run casing.
I'm sorry, I missed that.
I run casing in the oil field.
Oh, okay. I know what you're saying now. Casing.
Yes, ma'am.
Gotcha.
Pardon me.
Do you have any other children?
No, ma'am.
When I asked you if it's true you're living with your mother, you said right now. What did you mean?
Currently, I mean, the only reason why I'm back with my mother is to handle all this stuff with my kid. Because like I told you, I retained Gary Peak in January, and me and Michaela split up in around like November, December. And I moved back in with my mom, but I mean, like I usually have my own place.
Did you ever choke? I'm gonna call Michaela, in this case, Michaela. If I mean Ms. Willis, I'll say Ms. Willis, okay? Okay. Did you ever choke Michaela?
No.
Ever hit her?
I punched her in her chest one time, yes.
When?
Whenever the CPS first got called, whenever our first case, because this is our second case.
This is your second case, but court doesn't know any of that. Can you give me a month?
November 22nd, around, or not like it was like between like November 15th and the end of November.
November of the year 2022. Does that sound fair?
Yes.
Okay. Do you know why CPS got involved in November 2022?
Yes, because whenever they showed up, because they got her grandparents called CPS out to their house because me and Miss Baldwin were staying with her grandparents, and me and her were in an argument, and they called them out. But the day before, me and her had gotten into an argument because I found out some stuff. Anyways, none of that's important. She ripped my pants off my body. I had pajama pants like the ones that you get at Walmart that are really cheaply made. She literally grabbed me by my waistline and ripped them off me. So I punched her in the chest because she did that.
And the November 2022 at her grandparents, is that when she says she punched her uncle?
Yes.
Okay. Did you punch her uncle?
Yes. In self-defense though.
Okay. How old is her uncle?
Like 35, 30 something, 40.
Real old, huh?
Yeah. Older cat, yeah.
Did you have other than
Careful, Miss Rush.
Miss Rush turns 65 next month? So other than that, have you ever hit, slapped, punched, pinched, or thrown anything at Michaela?
I've had to restrain Michaela. Yes, I've had to restrain her because she just tried to run out into the road and get hit by vehicles while she was pregnant. She was trying to drink bleach. She's
Okay, wait a minute. What do you mean by restrainer?
as in hold, bear hug her,
Okay,
but I mean, I can't. I mean, like she was saying, there's been a lot of incidents. You know what I'm saying? And
okay. Have you ever slapped her?
no, I've never slapped her.
Have you ever hit her? Other than that one time you said you punched her in the chest, whether it's with your open hand, backhand, or your fist?
Playing around, yeah, not like serious, like actually hitting, but like playfully. Like I mean, like we used to like play around, not like play fight and stuff like that, but like you know what I
Okay.
mean?
Have you ever thrown anything at her?
No,
Have you ever hit her with something not your fist, like a belt or a book or anything?
no,
Have you ever threatened her?
no,
Do you know Mr. Sell?
yes.
How long have you known Mr. Sell?
For a couple of years, her or Amber and Michaela Baldwin have been friends for like 5 or 6 years. And that's how I met Amber and Anthony.
And how you met Michaela Willis?
And how? What'd you say? What'd you ask?
And that's how you met Michaela Willis?
Yes, was through all these people I've met through Miss Baldwin. Yes.
So, did you know Mr. Sell was a registered sex offender?
I did not know.
When did you find out?
Or yeah, the day of the accident.
Do you think he's violent?
Yeah.
Why do you think he's violent?
Just his track history. I mean, like I said, I've known him. I haven't really like met him and talked to him and gotten my feel for the guy, so I can't judge him, you know, and say something that's wrong about him, that's incorrect. But just from his track record and from what I've been told, I think he is probably a violent person.
Did you know that Michaela was in a sober living type place?
I did not know.
Okay. Did you know Mr. Sell had been arrested and put in jail for failure to register as a sex offender?
Yes.
How'd you find that out?
I knew his baby mama, Amber.
When did she tell you?
Whenever it happened.
When he got arrested?
Yeah.
Why do you want Asher to come home to you?
Why or when?
Yeah. Why?
Because he deserves. I mean, I've been trying to fight for him and walking a tightrope since January. You know what I'm saying? And he deserves a loving family. He deserves stability. He deserves a schedule. He hasn't been on a schedule. He deserves to get food, fed baby food on a bottle or on a spoon, not through a bottle like he has been. Like every time that I've had him, I have taken care of him the way that a baby is supposed to be taken care of. You know what I mean?
Both times.
Yes, both times.
And are you aware Asher tested positive for marijuana?
Yes, Stephanie did make me aware of that.
And would you agree with me? We are pretty sure Asher's not smoking weed in the bathroom.
Yes.
Are you aware your mother has CPS history?
Yes.
Are you aware that she has something that lists at least in 2016 as well as the very old history?
Yes. Because I was the victim.
The child
Yes, the child.
in 2016?
Yes, I was the child.
What was it about?
Well, really, I mean, on my part, so my father, he had just passed away, and you know, my mom was she was on drugs at the time, and really, it's just me wanting to get away from my mom. You know what I'm saying? And freaking just get away from anything, escape anything and everything, escape the world, try to.
Okay, let's back up. So your mom was on drugs in 2016. You were in her home. Were there allegations of physical abuse?
No, there's no physical abuse.
Okay. So were there allegations of sexual abuse?
No.
Were there allegations of what's called negligent supervision? In
No.
other words, was she caring for you while she was using drugs?
No, there wasn't.
What kind of drugs were we talking about in 2016?
So what it,
No, sir. What kind of drugs? Meth, cocaine, weed, alcohol? What is it?
methamphetamine.
When's the last time, as far as you know, your mother used meth?
That it was all this was in 2015, but 2015 or
Okay,
2016 was probably last year, I would say.
okay. And if you get Asher today, you're going to stay in Eastland County. Is that fair?
Yes, ma'am.
And you're going to live with your mom for at least a while and your grandmom?
That's where my residence has been for the past 7 months. I have not switched residences.
No. What I'm saying is if Asher goes home to you today, you're going to take him to Eastland with your mom, you and your grandma, right?
Yes.
Is there anything wrong with your grandmother? I mean, I don't know your grandmother.
No. Just
Okay. Wait a minute. Mr. Peak is going to throw something at you because the judge and I cannot, when you said she's old, because I have a feeling she's not that old. But I mean, she doesn't have cancer. She doesn't have dementia.
Oh,
She's
ma'am.
just living with y'all. Okay.
Diabetes.
Okay. Pass the witness.
Ms. Baldwin,
Yes, ma'am.
do you have any questions for Mr. Boland?
Is his grandma still smoking marijuana?
Is my grandma still smoking marijuana? No.
Okay.
Any other questions, Ms. Baldwin?
Am I still able to see Asher? Like if we do visitation, like visits?
Your Honor, I'm going to object as to relevancy. That's the court's determination.
Sorry.
No, that's fine. Any other questions for Mr. Boland, ma'am?
My attorney brought up the fact if he ever thrown anything at me. When she brought that up, I remembered something.
Okay, this is just, I'm sorry, this is just a time for questions. I'll give you a moment to tell me anything else you want to tell me, but this is just a question and answers part. So do you have any specific questions for Mr. Boland?
No.
Thank you. Ms. Fowler?
Mr. Boland, you, are you currently on probation for anything?
No, ma'am.
Are you on bond supervision for any offenses?
Yes.
Okay. And what offenses are you on bond supervision for?
For DUI.
Okay. Were you arrested January 26, 2023 for driving while intoxicated, resisting arrest, and obstruction or retaliation?
Yes.
Was that before or after when you were talking with Miss Rush about getting serious in January of 23 about getting Asher in your custody?
That was, I retained Mr. Peak in January, but what happened was I had gotten a brand new vehicle. I bought a brand new vehicle outright, and I decided to go to Dallas, go eat.
Hold on. I don't know if you're talking about the criminal implications, I don't know if Mr. Peak wants you to talk about that. So I just wanted to stop you right there. Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
I'm talking about Ashley. I'm talking about.
I apologize. Okay, go ahead.
No, but what happened was I didn't know my limitations, and I went out to eat with my cousin in Dallas in my brand new car, and we had a couple drinks, and I guess it blacked me out. I only had like 3 or 4 or 5 drinks, but I freaking, you know what I'm saying? I only weigh 160 pounds, and I guess it blacked me out, and I don't remember any of it, but yeah. But all those other 2 charges were dropped, and I'm getting charged with DUI and doing a year probation. So, but I'm waiting on the court date for that, so I haven't heard back from my attorney on that.
Okay.
I will be on probation.
Okay, and so when you were arrested, well, you're still under 21. So you were under 21 when you were arrested for DWI.
Yes.
Okay. And then, all right. And then I see you have other arrests for possession of marijuana in 2015 and 2021. Does that sound right?
You said in 2015?
2015, 2016, and 2021.
Yeah, I was a minor though.
Okay. And then you have a 2016 arrest for possession of a controlled substance, penalty group 1. What substance were you alleged to have possessed?
Yeah, I was I'm trying to think. I think it was a pill. It was a pill of some sort. I can't remember exactly, but I was like 14 or 15 years old.
Did you plead true that it was true that you possessed those items, or do you remember?
I do not remember honestly. I do believe I did plead out guilty to all of them. Or actually, no, I didn't plead out guilty because I got sent off to a boys' ranch. My aunt like did a deal, got with the attorney, and got me sent to like a boys' ranch for like a year instead of. But yeah, I don't remember exactly.
Okay. So just to be clear, in 2016, the possession of a controlled substance, penalty group 1, you're not sure what substance that you possess.
It was it was a pill of some sort, like either a Xanax or like a hydrocodone or something like that.
Okay. And I don't know if you'd know this, but that's not a penalty group 1 substance. Do you think maybe it was fentanyl or something like that?
I've never.
Okay. Okay. That's okay if you don't remember. All right. So Miss Baldwin asked you if your grandma was still smoking marijuana and you responded no, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Did your grandma recently stop smoking marijuana?
Like, I mean, really, I don't know. You know what I'm saying exactly, but I mean, probably ever since January
Of 2023 or 2020? What year?
of this year.
Okay. So you think your grandma stopped smoking marijuana around the beginning of this year?
Yeah.
Okay. And right now, are you in a relationship or a sexual relationship with anyone?
Yes, I'm in an entanglement with Amber.
Okay, and that's Amber White, correct?
I honestly didn't know that was her last name, but yes, if that's her last name.
Okay. But the Amber that has the baby with Anthony still.
Yes.
Okay. And I'm sorry, I can't remember if Mr. Rush asked you this, but you're aware that she has an ongoing CPS case?
Yes, that like I said, Stephanie told us, and she told me that we are not allowed to be around each other's kids, and that our kids cannot be together, but that me and her, that we can go out on dates alone as adults, that we are, because we are both, you know what I'm saying?
Okay.
That's why I haven't hung out with her since the 12th, since I found out that she had an open case, because we haven't found time to where it's just me and her, because she takes care of her kid all the time.
Did you have concerns with Miss Baldwin's parenting abilities before CPS got involved?
Yes.
And whenever you would have Asher with you, if you had concerns, why did you take him back to Miss Baldwin?
Because I couldn't, well, first off, I didn't want her to call CPS because in the last case I was listed as a perpetrator, and then, you know, do this whole process again. And then also because, I mean, I'm a good-hearted person, you know what I mean? I can't be like that, you know, keep her son away from her, you know what I'm saying? Not in that words like that, but like at the time, until she wrecked her car and totaled her car out with my son in it. Now I don't, you know, I see that she's clearly doesn't have any interest in his benefit, or you know what I'm saying, any of the self-interest. But
Okay. And do you see why it's concerning that you're seeking out relationships with women who also have CPS involvement.
Yes, I do see how that is a concernment, but I honestly didn't know until the 12th that Amber had a CPS case, and then
Okay, so you,
I'm sorry, my bad. I didn't know Miss Rush popped up on the screen. I didn't know she was trying.
okay,
Sorry, freaking. Yeah, I understand that is a issue, but I didn't know until here recently.
okay. But now you know, and you say you're still in a relationship, right?
Not a relationship, but yes.
Okay,
We still talk.
I'll pass the witness, Judge.
Thank you.
Are you just wanting to make 100% sure that you're the father? Is that why you're good with a paternity test?
Yeah.
Just want to make sure.
Yeah, I just want to make sure. I mean, like, I really don't have like that many doubts in my heart that he isn't mine, especially since he looks like me and since he's been born that he isn't mine. The only reason why I have doubts is because Ms. Baldwin has given me doubts.
Okay. So you worked in the oil patch, but right now, am I correct that you're between jobs?
Yes, right now.
What is your plan with regard to employment?
Probably going to Eva Iron right here, Houston, because it's only they work like 5 days a week and make good money. And they work early in the morning to like 2 or 3 in the afternoon, which would be good whenever I get Ashley, you know.
Okay. Now you understand that the court has heard a lot of allegations today.
Yes.
You do know that the court is probably going to err on the side of caution in deciding what to do with Ashley today.
Yeah.
You're not stupid, right?
No.
Okay. Now, are you going to want to make sure that you are given as much access as possible? Are you willing to go take a drug test anytime they tell you to take a drug test?
I'll take a hair follicle right now.
Okay.
Pay for it myself too.
And I'll just ask it straight up. Are you willing to do anything that the department asks you to do, even if it's, I guess, sounds stupid or is frustrating for you or is a little bit of an inconvenience? Are you willing to do it to get action?
Yeah.
Okay. I pass this.
Thank you. Ms. Rush, anything further from Mr. Boland?
Yeah, Mr. Boland, I thought when I asked you if you had a job, you said yes, you were employed. You told Mr. Peak you're between jobs. Is that right?
As of since the wreck, I quit.
Wait a minute. You quit.
Yes, and fear and concern of my child's life.
Okay, wait a minute. You weren't in the car and you quit a job, right?
Yes.
Okay. And regarding the CPS history with your mom, isn't it true that in 2014, you were removed from your mother because she was high on meth, punched you in the face, caused you to bleed, and custody was given to a relative and you were not returned to your mother at that time? Isn't that correct?
Not exactly in that pattern, but I was already with that relative, and
they got legal custody, correct?
Yes.
And your mother was high on meth and punched you in the face, correct?
Never punched me in my face.
And she caused bleeding, correct?
No. She was on drugs. That was it. That's why CPS got involved.
Okay. Now, as far as your DWI, do you know what you blew?
I honestly have no idea.
Have you already spent 72 hours in jail?
Yeah.
Okay. So who bailed you out?
My mother. Well, I bailed myself out with my own money, but my mother did it because I couldn't do it.
Yeah, I know how that works. But you spent 3 days in jail before you bailed out?
I spent 2 days in jail. So
Are you aware that there is a minimum 72 hours confinement? So you've got at least 24 hours you're going to have to sit in jail? You can't ask him. You weren't aware of that. And if that is true, and if I am reading from the Texas Penal Code 4904 that says you're going to have to spend 24 hours in jail, who's going to take care of your kid while you're in jail? If the kids return to you.
I have 5 family member households in this, just in between Cisco and then Ranger, and my mom's included, so 6. I got my aunt that lives in Cisco. I got my cousin that lives in Cisco.
Hey, I don't need their names, but the whole idea of all of these people you've got, how many more besides your mother have CPS histories?
None of these people have CPS issues.
Okay. Pass the witness.
Ms. Baldwin, do you have any questions at this time for Mr. Bolden? This is just the time for questions, ma'am.
No, ma'am.
Thank you. Mr. Peak, any follow-up?
No, Judge.
Ms. Fowler, anything further? And Ms. Baldwin, are you in the car with Mr. Braden?
Yes, ma'am.
Can you turn your phone so I can see him, please?
I will.
Thank you. Just want to make sure y'all weren't driving. So thank you
No,
very
you're
much.
fine.
You may call your next witness.
Department called Stephanie Fade.
Ms. Fowler.
And was it initially because of the June 14th, 2023 accident in which Michaela and Anthony Sell were involved with Asher?
Yes, ma'am.
That started it, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And at some point, did Michaela refuse to take a drug test?
Yes, ma'am.
Did she also admit to using marijuana in the car with Asher the day that the accident occurred?
Yes, ma'am.
I can hear you. I can take these off. It's very warm. You were aware, as was Miss Baldwin, that Anthony Sale was a registered sex offender.
Yes, ma'am.
Were you aware through an Amber White investigation that Mr. Sale had threatened to kill Miss White and had tried to break into her house?
Yes, ma'am.
Would you agree with me that you believe that Anthony Sale was a danger to Asher at that time?
Yes, ma'am.
However, did Mr. Sale get arrested and go to jail for failure to register as a sex offender?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you keep an eye on him while he was in jail?
Yes, ma'am.
Get a hold of some phone jail calls between him and Michaela Baldwin?
Yes, ma'am.
And did you listen to those calls?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you recognize the voices?
Yes, ma'am.
And in those calls, did Michaela mention that to Mr. Sale that once he got out of jail, they could take Asher and make a run for Washington?
Yes, ma'am.
Did she also discuss some things about having a sugar daddy and discuss some things about Amber White?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you institute a safety plan based upon these conversations and the accident that involved Asher?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So the minute Anthony Sale was in the process of bailing out, did Stevens County SO notify you?
Yes, ma'am.
And at that point, were you notified that Anthony had called his grandmother and his grandmother had said that she was going to pick up Michaela and pick up Anthony?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, you've heard Michaela say that did not happen. Do you have any reason to dispute with Michaela that she did not go pick up Anthony?
I have no reason to dispute.
However, when you did the removal with court orders at that point, did you believe that there was an immediate danger and threat to the safety of Asher caused by what you had heard on the jail calls, caused by Mr. Sale's past history, and caused by what initially started the investigation?
Yes, ma'am.
When you picked up Asher, did you know where Mr. Boland was living?
No, ma'am.
Did Miss Michaela give you information regarding Jonah's domestic violence history?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you also have anything on that from prior CPS investigations?
Yes, ma'am.
When did you find out where Mr. Boland was?
On July 12th.
And was that because you were in Breckenridge for, among other things, Amber White's CPS hearing?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you see Ms. Baldwin and Mr. Bolden, along with their respective SAPSR attorneys at that point?
Yes, ma'am.
Would you be surprised if I told you that's when they got served with this petition?
I would not be surprised.
What did Mr. Bolden tell you when you talked about the removal?
He was frustrated that CPS was involved, that he had lived with his mother this entire time, and he wanted to know why his son was not placed with him.
And at some point, did he also thank you for getting getting Ash away from Mr. Sale?
Yes.
Okay. Did Mr. Bolden tell you that Michaela beat him all the time?
Yes.
Did he also tell you he had been dating Michaela Willis, but started dating Amber White 2 weeks before the July 8th or 12th hearing?
He did tell me he had been sleeping with Michaela Willis, but Jonah had told me that he was friends with Amber White.
And you later found out by his Facebook that they were more than friends?
Yes, ma'am.
Was Jonah Boland given family-based services in 2023?
Yes, ma'am.
And was that family-based service involving Asher closed as far as Jonah on May 4th, 2023?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you aware of what services he was required to work?
Yes, ma'am.
What were they?
Parenting, anger management, and BIP.
And do the records reflect he did not complete those services?
Correct.
However, has he told you he did complete them and gave his attorney, Gary Peak, the paperwork?
Correct.
Would you agree with me? If that's not true, that's a stupid lie. So we're probably going to go along with that, right?
Correct.
What else did he tell you about batterers intervention program, anger management, and parenting classes he took?
That he didn't learn anything that he didn't already know.
Did he also admit he was aware of the mother's issues and gave the baby back anyway?
Yes, ma'am.
And he knew about the car wreck and gave the baby back anyway?
Yes, ma'am.
What did he say when you told him he was that Amber White had a CPS case?
He stated that he was aware of that, but I'm not sure of when he was aware of that.
Okay. Did he say, you just now made me aware, or did he say, I was aware before you told him?
No, you just now made me aware.
Okay, that's what I'm trying to understand.
Yes.
Did he mention he knew Amber White was in the courthouse?
The day that I saw him at the courthouse, yes, ma'am.
Did he say if he knew why Amber White was in the courthouse?
No, he did not know why.
When is the first time you've heard about Mr. Boland using cocaine?
Today.
Is that a concern for you?
Yes, ma'am.
You are aware, we won't give his birth date, but he is not 21. Does the fact that he is drinking on more than one occasion, at least once to excess, in which he had, and I quote, 3, 4, or 5 drinks, it blacked me out. Is that a concern for you for safety with him and Asher?
Yes, ma'am.
How about the smoking weed?
That is also a concern.
Do you think it's interesting that he thinks smoking weed is a concern for Michaela, but not so much of a concern for himself?
Yes, ma'am.
How about, when did you find out his granny stopped smoking weed this year?
Today.
Did you know his granny was smoking weed?
No, I did not.
Until today, did you know that his mother used meth as recently as 2015, 2016?
No, I did not.
Did you know he was living with his previously meth using mama and his previously weed smoking granny?
I knew he was living with them, but was not aware of their drug use.
You were aware of the DWI he picked up in January?
Yes, ma'am.
And we've also discussed, you were aware that he filed a petition on not January 2023, but December the 16th, 2022, which was before his DWI, in which he says he's the parent and he wants custody. You are aware of
Yes.
that, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And you're aware that in February, Ms. Baldwin filed what's called a counter petition with Gary Trammell.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Do you believe everything that you've heard today regarding drug use by the father, the mother, the father's mother, the father's mother's mother, the instability of relationships with two other women who have CPS histories, the fact that he gave the kiddo back, the DWI, the alcohol? You believe there's a continuing danger to return this child to the home of Mr. Bolden?
Yes,
Bolden.
ma'am.
And
Yes,
do you agree with Ms. Baldwin that the child should remain in CPS care?
Yes, ma'am.
And do you applaud her for being in a sober living house and trying to get her life together?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you asking the court to name the department temporary managing conservator, name the mother temporary possessory conservator, let the court decide what she wants to do about the DNA test, since there's been a pleading which the Texas Rules of Civil Procedure say Mr. Boland is bound by, in which he says he's the father, as well as an AOP. If the court orders a DNA test, then the court not name him possessory conservator until the DNA test comes back.
Yes, ma'am.
But order all of these people to do the standard services, including participating by Zoom in a meeting to get a family plan of service. Since Mr. Boland learned nothing in his previous FBSS case, require him to take a BIP, anger management, and parenting class. And frankly, it sounds like we need BIP and anger management for the mother too. What do you think?
Yes, ma'am.
Set this for a status hearing, which the court I'm sure has, but I don't, and give notice to everyone in open court.
Yes, ma'am.
Right now, the child is in foster care. Is that correct?
Correct.
Not telling me the town. Was there an actual staffing and a decision made because at the time Mr. Sell was in Breckenridge, and because of his violent temper, this child was not placed within 50 miles of Breckenridge? Is that fair?
That is fair.
Is it your understanding, based upon apparently all kinds of Crime Stoppers and stuff, that Mr. Sell has cut his monitor and he is on the run?
Correct.
So do you want both parents to fill out CCRFs, and let's do some home studies?
Yes, ma'am.
That all in the best interest of Asher?
Yes, ma'am.
You got any, I see the foster parent because it says foster parent on it right there. You got any concerns about where he is right now?
No concerns.
Okay, pass the way. Oh, I'm so sorry. Asher did test positive for marijuana, correct?
Correct.
Are you asking this court to order both Ms. Baldwin and Mr. Boland to submit to HARE and UAs with the standard North Texas Child Protection Court provisions, that as long as they test, do not miss the test, do not refuse the test, and don't cheat the test, they get visitation. However, if they cheat, miss, refuse, then all visitation is suspended until they test. That's your understanding?
Yes, ma'am.
So you want the testing before either one of them make a visit, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Ask the witness.
Thank you. Ms. Baldwin,
Yes, ma'am.
do you have any questions for Ms. Fade?
No, ma'am.
Thank you. Mr.
Yes,
Pete,
ma'am.
any questions for Ms. Fade?
Not at this time, Judge.
Ms. Fowler? Any questions, Ms. Fowler?
Sorry, y'all didn't hear me. I said no questions.
Oh, okay, sorry. Ms. Rush, any other witnesses?
Department rests.
Thank you. Ms. Baldwin, do you have any witnesses you would like me to consider at this time?
Can I pull up my notes real quick? Because I have the name of when he put his hands on me when Asher was in the NICU at the hospital. Is there any way I can give y'all her name?
Okay. Do you have any witnesses for me to hear right at this moment?
No, ma'am, not at this moment.
Is there anything that you would like to tell me in addition that has not regarding your situation or Asher's situation that you've not had a chance to tell me?
Basically that I'm just in a rehab. I talked to Lorinda Boyd, which was my prior CPS case, because I was kind of having problems talking to the one currently. And I asked her if it was okay because I have been really stressed lately. So I wanted to come here for my safety and for, of course, to try to get on my feet because I'm in a bigger area.
Thank you. I have a question for you. How long were you together with Mr. Sells?
A week before he went to jail, and he was in jail. I don't know specifically how long.
And how long were you in a relationship with Mr. Boland?
3 years off and on, up until December of last year.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
And Mr. Peak, any witnesses at this time?
No, Judge.
Ms. Fowler, any witnesses at this time?
I have no witnesses, Judge.
Okay. Does everybody rest?
Rest and close.
Yes.
Yes, Judge.
Thank you. And everybody close? Yes, everybody shaking their head, yes. Ms. Fowler, do you have a recommendation as attorney ad litem for Asher?
Yes, Your Honor, I would ask that the department continue as temporary managing conservator at this point in time, and that the drug testing be ordered for both parents.
Thank you. And Ms. Foster Parent, if you can unmute for me. Okay. Let me just ask you, and you can just shake your head, yes or no. Is Asher doing well? Good. And is there anything that you need for Asher that's not already being provided to you?
Okay, sorry, I found the mute button.
No, that's fine. And what would you like me to know?
He's doing, oh, sorry. No, he's doing amazing. He's doing really well.
Is there anything that you need for him that you're not already receiving?
Nothing.
Thank you very much. And Ms. Navarro, do you have a recommendation as guardian ad litem?
Just that I agree with the department and the attorney ad litem.
Okay, great. Thank you. Then at this time, the court is going to make the following findings. The court is going to find that there was sufficient evidence to satisfy a person of ordinary prudence and caution, that there was a danger to the physical health or safety of the child, which was caused by an act or a failure to act of the people entitled to possession. The court further finds that it's contrary to the welfare of the child to remain in the home of the parent, and the urgent need for protection required the immediate removal of the child, and reasonable efforts consistent with the circumstances providing for the safety of the child were made to eliminate or prevent the removal of the child, and reasonable efforts have been made to enable the child to return home to a parent, but there is still a substantial risk of continuing danger if the child is returned to a parent. The court is going to name the department as temporary managing conservator of the child. The court is going to name Ms. Baldwin as a temporary possessory conservator of the child. The court is not going to make any findings regarding conservatorship or regarding Mr. Boland. He has requested a paternity test, and so the court will grant his request for a paternity test. The court will go ahead and order both Mr. Boland and Ms. Baldwin to do the parenting classes, counseling, both individual and family, a substance abuse assessment, and follow all recommendations, random drug screens, a psychological evaluation and follow all recommendations, obtain and maintain a legal source of income or employment, obtain and maintain a safe and stable home with working utilities to help develop and comply with their family service plan, keep all parties updated at their contact, email, relationship, and employment status, allow announced and unannounced home visits, provide monthly in-kind support, attend court hearings and case meetings, sign medical, mental health, and drug releases, and to provide an email address for the e-file system. You are going to be required to open any email, pardon me, from the e-file system within 3 days. If you don't, there are certain time frames on certain documents, and that time frame seems to switch on me. So I have learned if you open it within 3 days, you can save it to your phone or something along those lines. But if you don't save it, it can go away and it's hard to get back. These court orders will be incumbent upon Mr. Boland only upon his paternity test results finding that he is indeed the father. They will be automatically imposed if he is indeed found to be the father. The court is going to order both of the parents, both Mr. Boland and Ms. Baldwin, to undergo a hair follicle and a UA. The UA and hair follicle will include fentanyl testing and an expanded opiate panel. Because there is some controversy on whether or not Mr. Boland is the father, there will be no visitation or access to the child since he has requested a paternity test until the paternity test results are back. And he must undergo, both adults must undergo the hair follicle before there's any access to the children. So at this point in time, the court is going to order that the removal of this child is not based under any of the Texas Family Code 262.116 factors. It is not based on the fact that the child was homeschooled, came from an economically disadvantaged background, was behind on immunizations, or was engaged in independent activities, or received medical marijuana, nor is it based on the fact that a parent received a nonviolent misdemeanor or sought out a second medical opinion, or that the child tested positive for marijuana alone in a way that significantly impaired his physical or emotional well-being. The court is going to make a finding that this is not an Indian child on the mother's side. The court will now make a finding regarding Indian heritage on Mr. Boland part until the paternity test comes back. The court is going to approve the exigent removal. The court is going to put in an order that there should be no contact between this child and Anthony Sells. There will be no contact between this child and Michaela Willis. There will be no contact between this child and Amber White. There will be no visitation between Mr. Boland's family until there is a paternity test and he is indeed confirmed to be the father. And any family member that he is residing with, or any family member that would like to have contact with that child, will have to undergo a hair follicle test as well. But none of that will be permitted until he has been confirmed as the father. Both Mr. Baldwin and Miss Baldwin and Mr. Boland are court ordered to complete a child placement form to put down anybody that they would like to have listed and looked into as a possible placement for this child. I'm required to tell you both, if you're unable to provide Asher with a safe and stable home environment, your parental rights to the child could be restricted or terminated. The next time that we are in a courtroom setting is for the status hearing, which is set for August the 9th of 2023 at 9:30. The first permanency hearing is set for December the 13th of 2023 at 9:30. And the second permanency is set for April the 10th of 2024 at 9:30. And Ms. Baldwin, I understand that you have hired Mr. Trammell on the private case. In a CPS case, you have the right to request a court-appointed attorney at any given time. It has to be a two-step process, though. First, you have to show that you are opposed to what the department is doing, and your testimony has indicated today that you're in agreement with the request of the department. Second, you have to meet the financial requirements. I don't know if you do or not because I don't have any information regarding that. You may always request from your caseworker, Ms. Lynn, a indigency affidavit, and you can fill that out and we can address that at any time during this hearing. In addition, you have the right to continue to represent yourself like you have done today, and you also have the right to retain or hire any attorney of your choice at any time during this proceeding. All visitation will be supervised, and this is only for visitation at this point in time, is only for Ms. Baldwin. It is not for, and I'm sorry, Mr. Braden, I'm sorry, or any new boyfriends at this time. And so I am going to continue the placement of the child with his current foster family, continue the foster family as both the medical and education consenter for the child. I am going to order the department to notify the child's medical provider of the drug test results to see if there's any medical or any occupational or physical therapy that needs to be done in order to address the behavior of the marijuana that he was exposed to. Is there anything else that needs to be addressed at this time, Ms. Rush?
Yes, ma'am. Will you be doing the DNA order, or do you want us to do it?
I will do the DNA order, and I apologize, it will be Monday.
Yes, ma'am.
May I ask Mr. Peak, if your client, is he, any chance he can get to Wichita Falls next week?
Yes, we'll find a way. Yes, Judge, I was hoping to ask you that we put a quick timetable on that so they could get it done maybe before we have the permanency on August 9.
I have a connection that the Wichita Falls Attorney General's office is usually very helpful to me. And so if I can get the order entered, he can show up at any time at the Wichita Falls Attorney General's office, and they will go ahead and draw it. I don't know how long it would take for the Attorney General's office in Eastland, but if he can do that, that would be great. And I'll go ahead and get that order prepared and sent over to the AG's office first thing Monday morning.
We will do that, Judge. Thank you.
Is there, while I have you, Mr. Peak, is there anything I need to address or anything I need to clarify at this time?
That was it. I just wanted to get that attorney test done as quick as we could.
And does your client, Mr. Peak, need a letter from the court saying that he was in court today for his employer?
He does not, Judge. He is between employment, so he won't need that. Thank you, though.
Thank you. Ms. Baldwin, do you have any questions about what I have ordered? If I can't answer them for legal reasons, I will tell you.
You're fine. Probably not legal reasons. I was wondering if there's any way I can get a list of what all I need to get done. I know we've gone over most of it, but just so I can have something to look back at.
Yes, you will be able to speak with Ms. Lynn, who is going to be your caseworker. And once you provide an email address to Ms. Rush, then an order will be filed with everything that I have ordered, and you can download a copy of that as well. Ms. Fowler, thank you. Ms. Fowler, anything additional you need from me?
No, Your Honor. Thank you.
I forgot to ask you, Ms. Baldwin, do you need a letter for your sober living saying that you were in court this afternoon?
If you may, please. I've already let her know, but if you could, that'd be awesome.
What I will do is once you provide your email address to Ms. Rush, I will email one to that email address.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good luck to everyone in this case, and thank you for your patience with me and my inability to adequately navigate YouTube as well as the Zoom. One other thing I would like to remind anyone who is recording, downloading, or posting any portion of this court hearing that is strictly prohibited, and if the court is notified of it, I will notify the proper Texas authorities, and you could be looking at legal charges, legal issues from that that could include civil and criminal charges.